Oh, sugar. What's going on, everyone? Man, my hair is a mess. But you know what? The drive's behind us, Zach, because we're welcoming in everyone to episode 127.
It's just a lie.
You know what? It is what it is. But sorry, guys. It's my fault. I'm the problem. But welcome on into the Ryan Ripken Show, where we got a hell of a lot to talk about today. So we'll get to it. There has been a lot of news that has been broken over the last, 24 hours. We've got news from Bill Belichick not being elected a Hall of Famer, and a lot of people aren't happy about that. People have a lot of opinions. We'll discuss that. Friend of the show, Todd Monken, is now going to be in Baltimore again, but as an opposing coach, as he was just named the Cleveland Browns head coach. And then let's see, we always try to give good guests and good perspective. There's one guest that I just interviewed before joining here, and I apologize. Part of the reason why I'm late. Our channel members, we will explain who that is later on, or I'll explain it later in the show, but you guys will get first access to that. But for this show, it's going to join us here in just a couple minutes. Former Baltimore Raven Haruki Nakamura is going to join us because guess what? When we're tying together pieces of who the Ravens just hired and who's around, well, there's two new faces, Mickens, Minter, and yeah, right?
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me crazy like that?
I was just over here. I just looked at you.
Okay,
People thought there was someone who thought I was late today, and I was like, I don't know if you've ever watched. That's not
Death Taxes and Rip was having a rough time with the Parkway today, but we're going to discuss that. And then I know a lot of people want that baseball fix, and I know we haven't seen any moves around the free agency landscape over the last week or so. But Keith Law is going to join us at 4 p.m. We're going to talk a little bit about prospects. And even though the Orioles and people are wondering where the prospects are going, is this farm system still stacked? Well, Keith has his list out, and let's just say there are 5 that are in the top 100 here. So we'll talk about that a whole lot more. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. And Zach, yes, it is my fault. It's not your fault. I'm sorry. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
Okay.
I will say, for those who wanted the update, snow kicked my ass last night.
Yeah,
big time.
I didn't hear from you.
Yeah, I was. It was one of those snows that you did not realize. I thought it was going to take like 30, 40 minutes. It was out there for like 2 hours. It was. And that's just ice now. So I was doing like big deadlifts of like massive chunks of ice. It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. Well,
you know what? It's behind us. Not really, because it's still outside, and there might be another snowstorm coming here, but hopefully it doesn't impact us heading out to San Francisco. But you know what? Why don't we just get to it? And Haruki, I'm sorry for keeping you waiting. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready to rock and roll. All right. Former Raven. Actually, it was right during the years in the start of the Harbaugh era, technically, but also he has connections to the Minter era. Let's bring on Haruki Nakamura. Did I pronounce that right, Haruki?
Yes, you did. Thanks for having me, fellas.
Hey, I appreciate it. And I'm sorry for being late. It's on me. Thank you for being flexible today.
Dude, snow ruins everything, man. That's why I'm down here in North Carolina.
Okay, well, in North Carolina, it truly shuts down, and it almost feels like that's how it's been up here. I'm shocked with how bad the roads still are, and it is Wednesday. But you know what?
Yeah. Well, down here, dude, I'm not gonna lie, it's not any better. It shuts down if there's like the thought of snow. If the forecast says like, hey, I think it may snow, dude, schools are getting canceled for the next 4 days. So that's the way it works down here.
It's nuts. I lived in off season down in Chapel Hill.
Yep.
And I was still playing baseball. And I remember they said, hey, we're shutting down the university. And I would train over there at one of the athletic buildings. And the trainer said, hey, we're going to still go in. But, yeah, they are shutting everything down. And I said, shutting things down, they said 1 to 2 inches,
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man. I think it was I broke my leg in 2009, and that winter in Baltimore, we got, I think it was like 36 inches of snow in 48 hours or something ridiculous. Yeah, it was It was awful. It was horrible. So yeah, you know what? I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. I've seen enough snow. I went to Cincinnati. I've seen enough snow to last a lifetime. I got family trying to pull me back up north, and you know, when you get guys like Mickens and Coach Minter back in Baltimore, it makes me think about coming and checking out. But at the end of the day, man, that cold is something else.
Yeah, so I mean, you're used to it, technically speaking. You might not be as accustomed to it as you were, but
My
you
cold weather grid is gone. I'll put it that way.
Okay, well, wait a minute. All right, before we get into your connections to Cincinnati and with Mickens and Minter, what's one of the coldest games or snow games you had? Did you play in any of those throughout the career that sticks out to you?
Oh man, that the AFC North game my rookie year, right? So 2008. What I remember, so the funniest thing is, talked to my mom after the game, and one of the first comments she made was, "Are you stupid?" Like, so me and Zibby, we had this tradition of like not wearing sleeves. It doesn't matter how cold it was. It's kind of growing up in Ohio is kind of like a rule, right? So you just
No.
don't wear sleeves. You just be tough. And I remember coming out for that game, and I'm like, "Holy shit, this is ridiculous." So that game was definitely one of the coldest games I've ever played in. And you know, there's a few growing up in high school where you're like, yeah, there might be a foot of snow on the ground, but cold. That 2008 AFC Championship game was brutal.
Out of curiosity, you didn't come out on the field shirtless, did you? Like, you
Hell
didn't do
no.
that. Okay,
No.
because the other theory I was going to throw out here is that we're trying to tally wins and losses when guys just go, you know what, I'm going to, I guess, show off the testosterone, the macho, no shirt, and it's 10 degrees. It's got to be the lowest win percentage out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Baltimore prides itself on having like high IQ players. I
Yeah.
think that's a definite low IQ play right there. I think that's. I don't think I'd fit in very well with that. So
No, I mean, I think whoever did it this past postseason, Zach, I remember watching it. And I'm like, oh, that's a loss. That's unfortunate.
Okay.
Hell of a year, and they lost. They did. I forget if it was the Chargers, maybe playing
I
the
think
Pats.
there's a difference between stupid and crazy. You know, so
Yeah, you're just crazy. That's just different. You guys back in the day.
That's
Well, we'll
right.
get to some Ravens memories down the road, but why don't we make the connections for people that are wondering? Okay, well, you've mentioned it. Okay, well, how does Haruki know Mike, and how does he know Minter? So Cincinnati, this is the roots, right? So going back to this, and for people that will piece it together, the Ravens just a few days ago hired Notre Dame defensive back coach Mike Mickens to be on their staff, right? That's the move. You spent time with him at Cincinnati, right? So that's the first connection. And also the other connection was Minter a defensive assistant for you back then when you were at Cincinnati?
Yep, he came in Brian Kelly's last year or first year at University of Cincinnati. So I played under. So I from 2004 to 2006, I played for Coach D'Antonio, Mark D'Antonio, and we'll get into why that's kind of important for hiring a guy like Mike Mickens. But yeah, Jesse came in as a GA with Brian Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
And more than anything, I'm sure you could rehash this with him, but the Minter name at the University of Cincinnati is massive. His dad was, one of the most successful coaches and longest tenured there, and so as far as like who you're getting as a head coach, I mean, it's just in his blood. I mean, the passion for football, the passion to compete, the compassion to be the best you can be. And then, having that University of Cincinnati background as a kid growing up. And then also from a coaching, like, dude, you're getting a grinder. Like, you're getting a dude that wants to succeed by all means. So it's exciting to see that.
What I've really applauded just from a distance so far with Minter, and you know this better than anybody else, and I try to tell people that have been outside of the professional sports realm, is when you're in a locker room or you're around people on the practice field, the biggest compliments that you can get from others is how you carry yourself and how your peers view you.
Yep.
And that was the biggest thing for me to this day. I try to take it into the business world is how do the closest people or who I interact with, how do they view me? And when it came to Minter and we went through the stops, we went to Vanderbilt and Coach Clark Lee had him as a defensive coordinator his first year. And even though Jesse left to go to Michigan, raved about him. Then goes from Michigan to the Chargers. It was raving about him. Sean Merriman was on, and Sean was talking about it. I haven't heard one bad thing ever about this guy, and every player raves about him. So it is kind of cool to see the origin of where he started. And I also got to give him a lot of props, and maybe this hits home for me. Honestly, there's a little bit of a legacy for him. And for me growing up, the name Ripken in Baltimore, I understand that. But carving your own path, and it seemed like for Jesse, starting at a place like Cincinnati that you just mentioned, it seemed like he became very comfortable in the coaching space. And people tell me, and I don't know him yet. Hopefully we get a chance to interview him upcoming here. But he sounds like he's just a very personable guy that is easy to communicate with. Is that kind of a good way to message that?
Yeah, I mean, just looking back for the first time I had an experience with him from a player-coach relationship, I mean, even as a GA, I mean, this isn't someone who's just like showing up to do a job. This is someone who's trying to excel. He wants to be so knowledgeable that when asked a question, he can give you as accurate an answer. I mean, that's just the type of personality he is. And I'm going to keep going back to the funny thing is the Cincinnati roots, the Ravens, the Ravens Cincinnati connection. I mean, John Harbaugh coached at Cincinnati, Rex Ryan coached at Cincinnati, Coach Rosberg, Jerry Rosberg, longtime special team coach for Harbaugh, coached at Cincinnati. So it's just funny, all these like the ties between the Ravens. I mean, and these aren't like, the best part about it is it's like these aren't like low quality people. These are all high talented, high quality individuals, and to kind of see to obviously see the opportunity that Jesse has in front of him is incredible. So for me to see, kind of be part of like one of his first experiences as a coach, like a high level coach. And to see where he's at right now with I mean, in my opinion, the greatest organization in the NFL, it doesn't shock me. And more than anything, man, I'm just excited to see, like the city of Baltimore needs to embrace this man, because this is going to be someone who gives everything that he is to try to achieve success.
We're talking about all these pipelines here, the Bearcats to Baltimore. This is one that we really got to look at here.
Dangerous.
You know what it is? So this is what I was going to get into with Mickens, man. Why do it seem like a player or someone who goes through the University of Cincinnati fits a city like Baltimore? You got to freaking grind, man. You got to scrap. You got to fight. I mean, everything. Cincinnati isn't one of those places where it's like, it's got the biggest freaking NIL fund or whatever it is, the boosters, whatever it is. It's never been that place, and it's never been a place that'll succeed because they get 4 or 5 stars. This is a place that gets 2, whatever. I don't even know what the hell stars you want to call them. You get dudes that are overachievers. Yeah. Plain and simple. If you go to Cincinnati, more than likely, you're probably a really, really, really good football player. You're probably too short. You may be a step slower. You may not be big, whatever it is. So in order to succeed, you have to overachieve. That is what comes out of the University of Cincinnati. So why is that important to a place like Baltimore, right? Baltimore is not the biggest market in the NFL, but the city fights. The city scraps, right? The organization is built on being there for your brother. And not just from a player standpoint, but from a coaching staff, from the front office, like everyone, the way Mr. Bisciotti has built on what Art Modell has produced in Baltimore, man, it goes hand in hand. Like, so, going from the University of Cincinnati to Baltimore, it was just like all I was doing was changing where I lived, because it was the same exact environment.
It was the mindset, and the phrase, right? Play like a Raven, the motto. It's more than just a motto or a credo. It really is a way of how you represent yourself and how you play the game. And unfortunately, in some cases, why the move happened this year is the Ravens didn't look like the Ravens that they had looked like this year, and the expectations are so sky high, right? It doesn't mean. I think the world of John Harbaugh. He's been great to me in this area. I'm excited to see his next chapter. But the Ravens, they're going to right this ship, and they're very good at identifying. They did it 18 years ago, hiring John, and they've done it before, and I believe they're going to do it after. And it's the quality of people. This is why I love the connection. You also mentioned about you could be a really great football player at Cincy, but you might be undervalued, undersized, that kind of underdog mentality. Well, I mean, Cincinnati's going to continue to be on the map, and I mean, hell, the Kelsey brothers are going to be Hall of Famers. So I mean,
listen. Here. I'll tell you a story. So my freshman year at the University of Cincinnati, right? So that was 2004. I was part of Mark D'Antonio's first recruiting. So I was part of Mark D'Antonio's first recruiting class. In college, I was part of Coach Harbaugh's first draft class in Baltimore. So, but my freshman year, I think we had 20 plus seniors, and I remember coming into this locker room and being like, "Holy shit, these are grown ass monsters!" Like these are dudes that I'm just looking around like this is insane. Like I'm sitting there trying to figure out how the hell I'm going to make it. That senior class, I think it was 4 or 5 Super Bowl winners. It had Trent Cole, who won a Super Bowl, and then there was Mike Wright, won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. Andre Frazier, Super Bowl champ with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Tywan Hagler, Super Bowl champ with the Colts. That was what I came into as a freshman, and those were all Rick Minter guys. Those were Coach Minter's recruits and stuff. So. Yeah, that place, the Cincinnati, it has a lot more than what people understand, and that obviously, the Kelseys came in. I think Jason was a freshman. He was a freshman when I was a junior, so he's told some funny stories about our experiences together at the University of Cincinnati. We won't go too far into that stuff, but Jason came in after, but. In between all that time, man, University of Cincinnati has produced so many great football players, so many great coaches. A lot of the guys that I played with right now are littered all over the college coaching landscape. Mike is a perfect example of one of those guys who continue to climb the ladder. There's other guys that are on their way as well. They just don't know yet. But yeah, man, it's the state of Ohio as far as football competition and the way they kind of do things. It's great, but the University of Cincinnati is a tremendous place as well.
It is, and the big OH gets a lot of credit over there, and I get it, and talk about having some funds. They got some funds.
They got a few.
They got a few funds up there.
A little selfish at times. They should share some, right?
I know, right? We'll talk to some people about that. But let's talk about Mike Mickens then, because you're talking about character. I think we're getting the sense of who he is, and maybe you can give a little bit of insight that you had personally with him. But then why other people now, like the Notre Dame brass where he just left, are going, man, you got a up and coming guy. He's going to be the next great coach when he gets more of his opportunities. And while it's a fresh start and there is some uncertainty, right? When you have a brand new coach at with the Ravens, you have now a college coach moving up the ranks to the NFL. That is a jump. There are some uncertainties, but it's about the quality of what you see in them. So can you talk about the quality of what Ravens fans and people can learn to expect from an up-and-comer in Mike Mickens?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'll start with kind of his roots. And, like, first and foremost, and this is where I think one of the most important things that Ravens fans need to understand is this is one of the most loyal human beings ever. Mm-hmm. He is also one of the most ruthless competitors you'll ever meet. You put those two ingredients together, you got someone who will freaking die for representing someone he firmly believes in. So to start with that, and him coming from Huber Heights, Wayne, Dayton, Ohio, and the reason why he got on with Notre Dame is because him and Marcus Freeman were high school teammates, classmates, and those guys knew who each other were. They believed in each other, and Marcus was obviously had enough trust in him to bring him from the University of Cincinnati on to Notre Dame. That's a big jump, from as far as the expectation level. Like, and so when it comes to that, like, obviously this is someone who could be trusted, especially you don't risk bringing on someone who you may think isn't right now. He Marcus Freeman brings him on from University of Cincinnati and Notre Dame, one of the most, highly scrutinized jobs in all of college football, right? So that's who you're getting. And that dude, I'm going to be very honest. That guy's come from the very first time he came in. I was a freshman because he was a freshman. He came in. I was a true sophomore. He came in as a true freshman. That dude's confidence you ain't shaking that guy. And he has no problems with failure because he's going to pick his ass back up and he's going to work even harder. So, that's what you want, right? You're going to fail as a coach. You're going to fail as a player. It's what you're going to do. Are you going to pick your ass back up, be able to look your guys in the eyes and own it and say, you know what? I'm going to do better. I will be better. Here's my expectations as a coach. Here's my expectation for you as a player. It's something that has always been Mike's strength. And what people don't realize is if Mike didn't have the injury going into his senior year, he had a knee injury. I mean, he was an All-American as a junior. He could have left and gone to the NFL that year. He ended up deciding to go back. Now he had a knee injury and affected his play. This is a guy that you would be talking about as a player as well. So, this is a special moment, I think, for him. This is someone who's not going to take it for granted. Um, like I said, him being from Dayton, Ohio, going to University of Cincinnati, Baltimore's the perfect fit for someone like this. That his personality, his competitive edge. Um, in my opinion, I don't think there's any other place in the NFL that fits him better than Baltimore.
I mean, that's the quality. I'm just making my mental notes, but I mean, check,
Yep.
tough, loyal, fierce.
Yeah.
Like, and
I mean, listen, he came in as a corner. He might have been $150. He was 6'1", 150, but he talked more shit than anybody I've ever met. So listen, that guy, again, he Mark D'Antonio, and I'll go back to, some of the Cincinnati ties, but this is a guy who was coached by one of the best defensive coaches, national championship coach, Mark D'Antonio, right? He spent years under him. Pat Narduzzi was our defensive coordinator, who's the head coach at Pitt. Our DB coach was an 8-year NFL vet in Harlan Barnett. He's produced tons and tons. So, as a player, the level of coaching that he received and how he's been mentored to get himself to this moment is incredible. And as a player, I think my last year in 2007, between myself, him, and our other corner, I think we had 20 plus turnovers between the three of us. We were second in the country in turnovers as a defensive unit. So this isn't a guy who's just going to say, hey, make sure your technique's sound and make sure. No, this dude wants you to go and make plays. He wants you to change the game, right? So as we know in Baltimore, that's part of it. Being a good football player is great. Making game-changing plays is even better.
And that's honestly what the team was when they were humming at their best. They were wreaking havoc on the defensive side. You guys were bullies when it came to that, and it was opportunistic, right? And if you do that combined with what the Ravens already have in house, and especially with this offense and having Lamar Jackson, man, this team in 2026 can be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
But as we kind of wrap up then, and I appreciate all of the insights there. It's getting me fired up, and this is why we like to go behind the lens here and show people what really you maybe not hear about the origins and what people go through and how they go. You've seen a I'm not going to call him a kid because you're a grown ass man when you go off to college, right? But
We
you
were
saw-
kids, man. We were foolish. Don't you don't have
Okay, all right. So you guys were kids, and then you saw this guy go from a kid, a shit talker, to a
Yeah.
grown ass man. That
Oh,
the,
yeah.
that the evolution has been really fun to watch, and I'm sure it's been really great to see where he's gotten to now and where he's going to continue to go.
Yep.
And but to kind of wrap this all up, though, because your connections to Baltimore are, again, pipeline. We haven't even talked about John Harbaugh, Zach, and Harbs and the connection. I think you had some parts around with that as it's a new chapter for John as well.
Yeah, actually, real fast, Haruki, before I get into the John Harbaugh question, I was going to ask you, because just one of the best personalities in football, what was it like coming into the league and playing for Rex Ryan for that 1 year? What was
again, overachiever. I believed in myself because I know how hard I had to freaking work. So I knew I belonged because of the level of work. But man, you want to talk about a guy that can help you generate confidence in yourself that you had no idea even existed. Oh my gosh. I mean, my pre-draft meeting with him was like, how do I make sure listen, what does it take for me to get here? It was just one of those things. Rex Ryan is one of the greatest personalities of all time, like you said. But from a player-coach relationship, that guy truly gets you to believe that you are not just invincible, but just, man, you're the man for the job. That is so important, because being a football player, I'm sure, is there money? Is there something? Dude, it's freaking hard. It is so freaking hard. And there's more opportunities to question yourself than there is to believe in yourself, because every time you step on that line, man, you're putting yourself at risk to succeed or fail. And that guy just made you feel like you couldn't fail.
God, I love a good Rex Ryan. Every time he talks, it gets me fired up. So then going into John Harbaugh, obviously your first year was his first year as the Ravens head coach. Fast forward 18 years, obviously parts ways with the organization, but 18 incredible years in Baltimore. What's it been like for you to be in his first draft class and then kind of seeing as the years have gone on?
Yeah,
how that's transpired?
I'll be honest. I would say it was difficult because you can tell how much that job and opportunity meant to him, right? This is a guy who wasn't willing to risk anything as far as having any stone unturned. Like, he wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page. And that for a first time head coach in the beginning is hard, because it's like everyone, you're trying to communicate your mission. It's hard to get everybody on the same page. But then all of a sudden, there was a certain point in time in the season where it just clicked, and everybody was like, we're all going in the right direction now. But that takes time. And when it comes to like what Coach Harbaugh brought, that man was freaking determined. Like, he was so determined on being successful. It's hard to falter if that's your personality, right? And so that's exactly why he was the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens for 18 years, because you firmly believe that guy's determination was going to lead to a very acceptable level of success.
Yeah, the parts with John and Harbs, and look, everyone, to be good and to last that long, and some people will say, well, it lasted too long in Baltimore. It's hard to be a really good head coach.
Yeah,
I think we underestimate that. And the crazy thing is, Andy Reid's perceptions changed so much from when he went to Philly to Kansas City, because Patrick Mahomes is there. But it also reminded people that they go, wow, Andy Reid, wow, he's one of the best coaches of all time. But would have people have thought that if he had stayed in Philly? Probably not. And again, I go back to the peer conversation and relationships. As much as people on the outside can say, John in fourth quarter leads, this team didn't win with Lamar Jackson or get to the Super Bowl. Everyone you talk to, everyone that you look at his coaching tree, it's the peers that say, no,
exactly.
On the inside, man, like it's way different. Yes. Did shit hit the fan at times? Of course. That's sports. That's managing.
Here's where I'll give Coach Harbaugh a lot of credit.
Yeah.
That guy, as a coach, for him to bring in the number of head coaches under under him. Like so, like Cam Cameron is a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wasn't just bringing on guys that were just like, hey, be a yes man. Like he was bringing in guys that have head coaching experiences because he just wanted to continue to learn.
Yeah.
Right? He wasn't one of these arrogant guys that was going to be like, I don't need him. This guy, he did everything he could to gain as much knowledge as possible. And so, again, I credit to Coach. What an unbelievable career he had in Baltimore. I there's nothing really bad to say about the people that say it's too much. If they freaking had any idea how hard it is to be successful in the NFL, they would be thinking twice. Now, again, spoiled in Baltimore, one of the best organizations ever.
Yeah.
Mr. Bisciotti does everything he can to let everybody know, like, I'm going to give you every tool you need to succeed. That's not going to be a question. He just wanted us to do our responsibilities to the best of our ability. So, but yeah, it is, no matter what, it is freaking hard to succeed. And I think familiarity, talk about familiarity. I think there's some familiarity between Mike Mickens and Kyle Hamilton, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was there some overlap there as well? So even like, it's just, the familiarity piece is really important. I'm glad you mentioned that, but that's Coach Harbaugh did a great job.
He did. And before we let you go then, and I honestly, I could talk ball with you. Again, in the future, when you're available, come back and join us. We can talk shop, shoot the shit. That's kind of what we do all the time. But overall, I got to ask then, some moments that you take away from your time in Baltimore, maybe a memory or two that stands out to you.
Oh my gosh. I mean, to come in as a rookie and make it to the AFC Championship game, it almost ruins, like, oh, this is all it takes to get to the AFC Championship game. But that game, we had lost to Tennessee earlier in that year, and that game in the divisional round against the Titans in Tennessee. And I'm a Cleveland kid, not necessarily a Browns fan, but a Cleveland kid. And to be part of the game, seeing Matt Stover lining up to kick, the go-ahead field goal, like, there are so many things that just run through your head in those moments, and then being on the field to close it out, because it was just a wild game. It was an exciting game.
Yeah, that was the play clock. Play clock. You got the playoff in time, in my opinion. Joe got it off.
Yeah. So, just that game right there. What a way! Like, kind of like welcome to the NFL moments. Like, to be there fighting for, like, you're freaking on the field with Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and Suggs and Halodian and Jarrett and all these guys, and we're all fighting with a team that was 13-3 that everyone had said is gonna be the winner. It's just like, oh, like, to come into the NFL like that as a rookie, like, doesn't get much better than that. That's one of my fondest memories ever.
That is. And yeah, I think also in 2008, so you had that, and earlier that year you were almost part of NFL history if Ed Reed lateraled that football.
I joke. So Ed is like my big brother. I still talk to him all the time. I bust his balls. Every time he posts that highlight, he'll always text me like, "Hey, I'm never pitching that damn ball." Or he'll be like, "Go get a block." And the funny thing is every time he says that, I'm like, "Hey, do you want me to be like Will Demps and clip somebody in the back and make sure you lose that field, right?" Like, it's just like we just bust his ball, just to bust his balls. I mean, that's,
oh my God,
that's my guy, man. But no. You know what? The other one from that year, playing in the last game in the last home game in Cowboy Stadium,
in Dallas.
How freaking sweet is that, right? Like, to be able to, I remember seeing all the stars and all the celebrities out, and we kicked their ass. That was another good one.
That was an ass kick in there. You know what? If this works for you, because it's my fault today because I'm running behind, and we got to talk baseball because apparently it's like in 2 weeks that spring training starting here. But do you mind if we say, hey, Haruki, we need you to jump back on? Are you cool with that?
Yeah, man, absolutely. No, I appreciate you having me on. I know you probably hear my two young kiddos screaming and yelling. So yeah, no, as long as I can fit you in between the time with them, I'm good.
Hey, you got to have the family time no matter
That's
what.
right.
I appreciate. I've learned a lot, and I know there's a lot more stories that you can tell us moving forward. So, Haruki, I appreciate you. Thank you. You have a great
Yeah.
rest of your day, and
Yeah.
look forward to talking to you soon.
Awesome. Ryan, thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Haruki, everybody. Dude, I could talk stories with him for days.
That was fantastic.
Amazing. And you
Love
know what?
it.
If he had just I actually was watching the lateral play as it was. I'm like, that is so damn funny. But if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. Sorry for running a little bit late. While the snow removal has been somewhat of a process, me trying to drive through traffic is even more of a process. So thank you guys for your patience. And Keith, thank you for your patience. You're the man. I appreciate you. And as we continue off the stream, Zach, can we jump from one stream to the other stream real quickly? AutoStream Car Care Center. Hey, look, I just mentioned that me driving throughout the snow has just been woof. But they have 10 locations. If you have any car issues after the snowstorm, our partnership in 2026 is this. You go there, any issue, tires, brakes, bumper, you name it, you get $50 off for just mentioning Ryan Ripken. So we appreciate AutoStream Car Care Center. So from that stream back to this live stream, all right, people have been begging Zach for more baseball content. Like they've been,
itch.
and not, I think they're getting a little bit ticked off with who is going to sign and who's not going to sign, right? But it's getting old. So you know what? We're like, there's a new list out. He's been following players for a while. He gave us great insight in the summer leading up to the draft. So it's now that time to talk about the new list that's out from Keith Law, because there's 5 Orioles that are on that list. So Keith, thumbs up. You ready to rock? Ready to rock. All right, let's bring on Keith Law. Keith, what's going on?
I'm writing about prospects from now until basically the end of the world, it seems like.
So when do you take time off? When is time off for you?
I am actually going to take a week. Once this is all done, once I do all 30 team reports, I will take a week. One of my kiddos is going to turn 13. We're going to take a little ski weekend, take a couple days to just not do baseball. And then it's college season. And then I'll just be out on the road again, do that, do some spring training stuff. I mean, I'm ready to get out and see players again, right? I'm a little stir crazy.
Yeah.
I live not far from you. It's 18 degrees today and I got to take the dog for a walk. Awesome. It's going to be awesome.
Were you shoveling? Did you have to do any shoveling?
I did the front walk. We had somebody plow the driveway. Like we have a little HOA here and they have somebody come plow. Thank God. Cause I'm old. Nobody should be putting a shovel in my hand. I shoveled the walk and I woke up today and my back hurt. So yeah, Nope, bad life choice.
Well, it's all right. Zach's 25 and he's complaining about his back and his knees.
There's nothing I can do. It is a humbling experience. I did not think my lower back could feel like this at age 25.
It's all downhill from there. Gotta tell you.
Yeah, I woke up and I was like, you know what? That was a really good session getting snow done yesterday. I woke up and was like, oh, I was in a UFC fight. Yeah, that's what happened.
Oh goodness, yeah. I mean, it's been tough sledding here, Zach. You like that pun?
Oh my God.
That's terrible. I hate myself. Keith, let's talk baseball then. You just talked about that you are just looking up and identifying where prospects are. Who's the next prospects? Who's the next top prospects? In this case, you just revealed a list here. And Zach, is there any? Do we have? I don't know if you have it up or not. But anyway, you know the list here, Keith. But for Orioles fans in Baltimore, hey, you have 5 to the list. And apparently what I heard was that this Orioles team, the system was down. And while, yeah, they had to change things up last time we talked of, maybe there was a little bit concerns from previous draft classes, you still are identifying and liking some guys that are from the Orioles brass right now. So who do we want to start with in this list that maybe you are the most excited about of the Orioles top prospects that you have on that list?
Well, do you want to talk Basayo? Because obviously he's been in the big leagues and probably a pretty good chance he's going to play somewhere for them in the big leagues this year. I don't know if he makes the opening day roster necessarily because he is a catcher, and I think they should probably continue to develop him as a catcher. It's obviously better for his value. I think, I like Adley Rutschman, absolutely nothing against him, but he has been banged up, and he hasn't been sort of superstar Adley in a little while now. So do you want to prepare Basayo in the case that I'm not really thinking of moving Adley, but maybe Adley doesn't catch as many games so that Basayo comes in and catches 60 or 70 games a year and Adley catches the rest, so that they're both a little more productive at the plate. If you're going to do that, then you probably want to start Basayo in AAA and let him catch more. But the bat looks like it's probably ready, and you could probably make him DH, first base, move him around a little bit. You just probably wouldn't catch him a whole lot because that is the weakest part of his game other than his arm. I'm talking like receiving, blocking, game calling, stuff like that. Basayo's probably not quite ready for the majors, but he works the count really well. He's got real power. It's real bat speed. I don't think he's going to have any trouble catching up to major league stuff. There'll be some adjustment period because there is for most hitters at this point, but I do think he can really help them in some role. I think the question for them is, what do you want the long term to look like for Sammy Basayo versus what do you want just this year?
Yeah, I mean, that is the $1 million question. Or whatever. What was the extension they signed for, Zach? $80 million question?
Yeah, like 85.
Yeah, whatever that was. And good for him. It's what are you going to do? Because you signed Pete Alonso. He's going to play the majority of the games at first base, which he should, because even though he might DH more, I'm still a believer, unless Pete has proven that he's comfortable DHing. Some guys know how to DH, others don't. He knows how to drive in 120 runs and hit 40 jacks playing first base. So there's a mindset that he understands, but Sam has to fit into this equation somehow in some way. And the upside's there. It's undeniable. There's a lot of different outcomes because he's so young, but then maybe in this case, if he's going to catch, maybe slides into play first or DH. I know he's not on your list, but it's in the conversation of Kobe Mayo. Cause that's the conversation here of, what do the Orioles kind of do with Kobe? And maybe just your thoughts on Kobe just for a second. Of clearly has upside with power potential, trying to figure out a position, but yet there's a log jam because we're going back to what we talked about last year of who you're going to prioritize here. It sounds like to me, Sam Basayo is going to be a priority, whether it's opening day or sometime in 2026.
And I like Kobe Mayo. I really wish they would, if they're going to call him up, right? You got 200 at-bats. You got 250 at-bats, something like that. I understand there's other reasons. It's not all about one player. But if you are thinking in the development mindset, like Kobe Mayo has been one of their top prospects for years, he hit all the way up through AAA. Yeah, there's a little question of what is the optimal position for him. But there weren't really a lot of questions about the bat. And he's a good example of what I was talking about with Basayo. Most guys struggle on their first exposure to big league pitching. The gap between the quality of baseball in the majors right now and the quality of baseball anywhere in the minors, mostly AAA, but really anywhere in the minors, is enormous. The pitchers in the majors do more things. They have better stuff. They often throw harder. They have so many more tools at their disposal. It is a very big challenge to ask even the best minor league hitters to come up and hit major league pitching right away. And the way they've handled Mayo is a lot of like, well, you didn't hit for 3-4 weeks, you're going back down. That's not going to develop him for the long term. And I actually think they've probably hurt his value a little bit if they were thinking about trading him. So also thinking ahead a little bit, if there is a way to get Kobe Mayo regular playing time, or at least regular at-bats in the majors, do that. Let Basayo start at AAA, have him catching 5 games a week, and maybe Mayo is your opening day DH. Or at first base. Pete Alonso is not a very good first baseman. I understand your point about his comfort level and is he willing to DH regularly? Defensively, they are better off if he is a DH. His defense at first has never been good, and it is definitely declining as he's getting older. We all decline as we get older, obviously. I would like to see Mayo getting some of those reps at first, and more importantly, just see Mayo get regular playing time, or else he should probably be somebody they're trading for pitching.
Yeah, and on top of that, by the way, they do have another first baseman in Ryan Mountcastle who's still on the roster to start this year. So there's this log jam, and talk about value being down. I still am a Mountie believer with his bat. Now he's got to get confidence back, number one. of the defensive first baseman, he's the best of the three.
Mhm.
And for him, when he's coming through the minors, that dude hit everything. He hit everything. In the big leagues, the swing and miss has been out there, but the biggest part that I've seen is staying healthy and having confidence in himself just from being around. I remember I've talked to a couple of my former teammates and even talking to him, I go, dude, I don't think you realize how good you can be, but that's the mental challenge of players. But if the Orioles are trying to trade Ryan Mountcastle, his value's down. Kobe Mayo's value is how are teams viewing him? And it's not that it's a mess. It's never a mess to have talented guys that are on your team for depth purpose. But as far as development purpose, it is a log jam. And I think Zach will continue on with the prospects because we're talking about Sam Basallos being one, but there are some other names on this list, and the Orioles are going to have some questions that need to be answered.
Yeah, actually, Keith, one of the names I wanted to talk to came in at the latter end of the list at number 97, Enrique Bradfield Jr. There has been some questions about, okay, is Colton Cowser, do you have him play a corner outfield position and you stick someone else in center? Is he your center fielder? Questions around that. For Enrique Bradfield Jr., it always felt like maybe the hit tool was the thing that you wanted to see more out of. From your perspective, what have you seen from him maybe development-wise, and where do you see him kind of fitting into Baltimore going forward?
I saw him a couple times this year. I was actually at the game in the fall league. Folks should go find the video online where he ended a game by stealing a home run.
Yeah.
He just went halfway up the wall. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. It was one of those you could hear, and the players are losing their minds, and you could hear the reaction of the whole crowd. Okay, there's only 200 people there, but still, it was awesome. And that's who he is. He is an elite defensive center fielder. You could put him in the lineup right now in the majors. He would play plus defense in center. He would add value on the bases, and he'd probably hit ninth. And that's really the issue with him is they've never really done much with his swing. He changed his swing himself while he was at Vanderbilt. I think he was trying to get to some more power into his draft year, and I think it cost him a little bit, not in money, but I mean, cost him in terms of production. And his swing has always been a little overcomplicated. It's like you are an 80 runner who is strong enough to just hit some line drives to the outfield. That's all we want you to do. I don't care if you hit 5 home runs a year, but if you are spraying line drives all over the field, especially to the left field gap, you're going to be on second or even on third a lot of the time. And there is huge value in that. And it'll keep your batting average up. That's the player I want him to be. I don't think that's quite the player he is now, but the player he is now would help a major league team. Like he could probably be a 2-WAR player at the bottom of a lineup because he will get on base enough. He'll play an unbelievable defense and he'll steal 40 or 50 bases. I mean, he's super exciting. I love watching him play. I also have seen him, it's like 6 years in a row now. Going whenever his freshman year in high school was, that was the first college. That's the first time I saw him. So I have a lot of history with this guy, and I'm like, I know you can be better. You are good. I just know you can be better than that.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think that's for Orioles fans. It's the same thing like what you said. It's like, you plug him in center field opening day. Defensively, you're not worried about center field for the rest of the season. It's where's the production at the plate going to come from. And then real fast, obviously we talked about the catching kind of surplus in Baltimore. Ike Irish, another guy in your top 100. It feels like he's not going to be a catcher going forward. Just so, where do you think it's safe to say he stick him in the outfield, stick him in one of the corners, and let him develop there? Because the bat tool is really what you're liking from Ike Irish.
He can really hit. And I mean, he's got unusual opposite field power. And it may not be like big fly power. I'm thinking more in terms of the sort of batted ball data, right? The exit velocities, even going the other way, are really good. So that shows me he's got a lot of hand strength. And it's unusual to see guys do this at this point where he's willing to kind of hit it where it's pitched. So many guys are just trying to pull the ball in the air all the time. Like that ball's out on the outer third, maybe even just to the very edge of the plate, but you have the hand strength to be able to drive it the other way. Great. Do that. Do not try to get greedy and then pull it in the air. And then obviously you end up, yanking it foul, or it just doesn't go out because it's too far away. Your swing gets too long. That is not the right approach for everybody. I think he played some right field. He broke his collarbone in college. And when he came back, Auburn liked their other catcher. I'm blanking on his name. He was a better defender. Irish can throw. He was never great behind the plate. I don't think he really, really wants to catch. I would stick him in right field, and it's going to take work, but he's got the arm for it. And just be like, your job is to catch what's hit to you and then go hit. Can he be a better defender in right than Nick Castellanos? Yeah, I think probably. And that'll play as long as you're hitting.
It always plays. If you hit, they'll find a place for you.
Yep.
Now, it helps if you can be a little bit versatile, but if we're looking at what's Sam Basayo's long-term, what's going to happen with Adley, but if you're looking down the road here for Ike and there's a logjam, and he is the hitter that you say he can be and what I believe he can be as well, you want to look at other avenues. Another guy that kind of comes to mind from back in the day was Kyle Schwarber. Schwarber, you want him to be playing every day. You moved him around. Now, obviously, he has become the glorified DH, but when you have 50 jacks a game or a season, I'd say that's pretty damn valuable at the top of the order. So, yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting process. Some other guys that we know that are kind of rounding out the list, Eloy, George, and that's the other two, correct, on the list?
And then Dylan Beavers was on my just missed list, which came up today. I'm happy to talk about any of these guys. Yeah,
man. I mean, well, you know what? Yeah, Dylan Beavers, who cares anymore, right? Who cares that he could possibly be Rookie of the Year? He's off the list. In all seriousness, though, he's when you mentioned Enrique Bradfield Jr. a second ago, you know, one thing I think for the Orioles, and I'm curious how they're going to change, and the reason why I brought up EBJ is I thought it sometimes – a lot of the hitters weren't playing to their strengths in the big leagues. Not everyone is a home run guy. Not everyone should be a pool happy guy. You got to figure out what works for you. And I'm hoping for EBJ's sake, he just focuses on be the guy that gets on and wreaks havoc on the base pass. That's what I look. I think Dylan Beavers has some pop, but he kind of has that little scratch and claw type of mentality to him. And that's what I was watching with him. And I've even heard some of his hitting philosophies through some people where he just says, hey, I know what I can do and I know what I can't do. And I thought that was really good to hear. Now he's got to make adjustments at the big league level, but having that understanding of what your strength can be, you know, I think the Orioles need more of that scratch and claw mentality, and then have the big boppers like Alonso, Westberg, and Gunnar go and do their thing. And that should really help complement a roster with a lot of talent.
And you're not going to get me to say anything bad about Dylan Beavers. I like him. I think he's made some really good adjustments since he got into the system. I think he has softened that hitch in his swing. It's not gone. And I think as a result, despite the fact he posts really good exit velocities, it's not a big power swing. He's probably going to be more of what you're describing, a guy who puts the ball in play a ton, hits it hard enough that he's going to hit for a pretty high average. Like, I do think he's a Rookie of the Year candidate. He's got a job, most likely, and he's going to put up some numbers. And particularly, he's going to put up kind of the basic numbers that voters do still gravitate towards. If he plays every day and he hits like 290 with 15 homers, that's probably going to get him a lot of Rookie of the Year votes, especially if he manages to do that, like, to get his 500 at-bats over the course of the year. And that's kind of what I think he is. I always wanted him to hit for more power. At this point, I'm just sort of, the swing is what it is. He is going to be a very capable defender in right, probably above average, adding some value there. He does work the count really well. I think he knows the strike zone well. He's going to hit for average with a little over the fence power. That's a really good player. I don't think he has some of the upside of the other guys we're talking about. But if you want to argue, hey, Beavers should be on the top 100 because he's got value right now, sure. I get no issue with that. He is a very good prospect.
Well, to wrap up, we didn't talk about Eloy and George. Can you maybe just do some notes on those guys specifically, where if people don't know, why did they make your list? What stood out to you about them?
So I love Nate George. I might be the president of the fan club. Like, I saw the numbers last year in the complex league. I'm like, this guy's a 16th round pick out of nowhere. Like, who is this guy? He gets promoted to Delmarva. I drive down there to see him, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in love. Sign me up. This is awesome. That guy plays like his hair's on fire. It's plus run. He can stay in center. He's got a really good idea at the plate. He's got a quick bat. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of power there. That might be the limitation, not a huge one. Maybe that makes him kind of like what we're talking about for Bradfield, where he, in the best case scenario, he's a leadoff hitter. He gets on base a bunch. He runs like crazy. He will always take the extra base. He's always trying to get himself involved in the play. He's running all over the outfield. I love guys like that. And I was pleased when I circulated my list to front office execs, how many of them came back and they were like, yeah, we have George in that same range. We think he's got a chance to be an above average regular, maybe a star. Eloy is an interesting one. Hits it really hard. He's got plus power. He can definitely stay at shortstop. They have a real thing to work on with him. What we talk swing at, pitches you're choosing to take. And that was a real issue for him in college. It's why they managed to get him with their second pick, when I think the majority of people, at least on the outside, we all thought he was a first rounder. And I think this is a big challenge for their player development group. I know you and I've talked before, that 2024 draft, they didn't do a great job developing those guys at the very least. Most of them went backwards last year. Aloy is, to me, the biggest challenge of the 25 draft class for them, because we all see what he needs to work on. You've got to get him to make better decisions at the plate. If he does that, you got a chance for an all-star.
That's why he went so high, because of those reasons. And if you can maximize what you see with the potential has a high payout here. And this is the beauty of prospects, the beauty of baseball. You can be a 16th round pick. You can be a first round pick. How do you develop and how does it click that leads on to greater things? Before I wrap up, Zach, you have any final thoughts for Keith?
No, actually, I'm glad you brought up Nate George, because I feel like Keith, like you, he was someone that he burst on the scene, and then suddenly everyone in, Orioles fans were just obsessed. It was like, I called a game in Aberdeen of his, and it was the classic, hits a little bloop shot into the gap, is a single for 90% of people. He's standing on second, ground ball to the shortstop. Next play, didn't care, gets to third, and then fly ball gets himself in. And it's like that electricity. Couldn't have said it better myself. That is the definition of playing with your hair on fire. It feels like you almost have to, you're like, he's not going to stop, is he? Like, I'm looking at him.
No.
Right fielder has the ball.
Throw the helmet off, and he is running like crazy, and the hair is going, and you're like, yeah! Like, I love those guys. Give me more guys who play with that kind of energy and intensity. Mm-hmm. It's not reckless, but he is like, I'm going to take that extra base.
It's confidence.
Yeah, and you are. Yes, he has that kind of speed. He knows he can change the game. He was the best player on the field. The first time I saw him in Delmarva, I think it was against, was it the Cleveland affiliate? And he was the best position player on the field at that time on either roster. And he's the guy you can't take your eyes off of.
He is. Not bad for what, 15th round pick? Was that?
Yeah, for not that much money either. Yep. I mean, I'm all for players getting paid, but he was not. I talked to another club, another scout who had that area, and he's like, I saw him once. I guess I missed. I'm like, dude, everybody missed. Do not feel bad. He was a 16th rounder. The Orioles did a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the diamonds in the rough, and that again is the beauty of it. As much as you can scout and identify, we know that some teams will be in love with prospects that have potential, but again, they have a lot of outcomes. I still remember from my draft class, Keith, Tyler Kolek, if you remember that name, that's still
too well.
Like I remember he was the second overall pick, right?
Yes, he was. Oh God, one of the worst trips of my life to fly and see that guy. And the whole team comes out, he's here, everybody else is 6 inches shorter than him, and the guy couldn't throw strikes against the Lollipop Guild. Like, I was like, what am I doing here? But he was throwing 100. It's a high school guy throwing 100 back then. I was like, but that's a prospect, right? Like, if I saw Tyler Kolek now, I'd be like, no, I'm okay. I have seen this movie before. All too often it ends with a guy who doesn't work. I think he blew out and he got the yips, and then he was done. And it turned out his brother made the big leagues.
Yeah, and another pitcher that comes to my mind, this is a good example here to close it out. And hey, next time, Keith, you should add some pitchers to the Orioles top 100 if you can. That'd be great.
Yeah, well, I'll have a chat with them about that.
Okay, perfect. Well, and you know what? That can be for a different time, because that's still what people are wondering, and that's why in Baltimore they're saying you need to go get some pitching if you aren't developing it properly. There are guys, but the track record's not there yet. I digress. The other part then, Zach, Josh Hader's a pretty good closer, right? Josh Hader coming out of high school was a 19th round pick ahead of me. Yep. I was 20th. He was 19th. Josh Hader, Keith? He did not throw hard coming out of high school.
No. And it was funky. It was local, right? And it was somewhere.
He's a Maryland guy. But the one thing for Josh, he knew how to pitch first, and then he never long tossed, I think is a story. Learned how to take care of his body a little bit, grew into his lanky frame, and then went from throwing 80s, mid, maybe high if he was lucky, to now throwing 97, 98, close to 100. And that's the part of it. 19th round pick. And at the time, and still is when he's healthy, he's one of the best closers in the game. So, that's the context of all of this to tie it all in. You truly don't know. And you said, how do people miss on it? It's hard, Keith. It is hard to identify. You hope you're right, but it's so damn hard.
The number of guys I've seen, and I'm thinking of really high school guys, like we have a better, it's easier with college guys. They're older. We see them against better competition. We have better data. High school guys, even the ones where you're like, he's going to hit. He's definitely going to hit. Or the other way around. I saw Mike Trout as a high schooler. I didn't have him first in that draft. I had him like 20th. Kevin McGonigal. I thought he was a first rounder. He's the second best prospect in baseball right now. He's from here. He's from around here. He came down and played 15 minutes from my house. I'm like, it's a good swing. He looks like he can hit. And the next thing I know, he's probably the best hitter for average in minor league baseball. Like, it's really hard to evaluate teenagers. And I do this from the outside. I think, at the end of the day, I just get to write about it. I'm not making $1 million decisions based on this. It's much harder for the guys working for teams.
For sure. And, the one that still gets me in the kicker, because I grew up knowing the story, Calvin Edwin Ripken Jr., the second round
Never
pick.
heard of him.
Never heard of him. Second round pick, and most people wanted him to pitch. They thought he was a better pitching prospect than he was a hitter. And so what did he do his first year? If you look it up, hit like 250, no home runs, a bunch of errors. And you're going, oh, goodness, like this lanky kid, this guy kind of stinks. We'll wait until he's ready to be a pitcher. They'll just convert him. And then the story goes, he started to put some things together. And not just a few things. He put together a 21-year big league career. The first year at 17 years old, talking about teenagers, 264 average, 0 home runs, 8 extra base hits. And if I can find his fielding numbers, because they were bad, 33 errors on the year. And then the following year, he only had combined 8 home runs, which that's solid. And then the next 2 years, 25, 23, and then led to 431 home runs at the big league level. So needless to say, Keith, it turned out well for him. But the funny thing is that a lot of people didn't think he was destined to be a shortstop. They thought he was destined to be something else. So this is how hard the game is. And he went on to be arguably one of the greatest players, one of the greatest shortstops the game has ever seen. That's enough of me being nice about him because he's a jackass when he doesn't answer my call. So if you're listening to this, Calvin, I appreciate you answering my call earlier. But Keith, where can people find you and everything that you're doing? I know you're going to take a little bit of a
break. 5 teams will go up every day. I think the remainder of that week, that's literally what I'm working on right now. If you're looking for me on social, I'm on Blue Sky, just Keith Law. I am also on Instagram, Mr. MR Keith Law, where I've been posting some of the links, and occasionally there's stuff about food or board games and other things that aren't baseball.
You know what? Honestly, we found out more people love the things not about the sports and baseball. Or I mean, at least that's what we found out on our end. But they do like the sports too. You know a little bit about baseball prospects as well. So, well, Keith, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for taking the time. It's always a pleasure. I look forward to the next update. I look forward to continuing the Nate George fan club. And,
you can be vice president. I'm president. You can be vice president.
Zach, what do you want to be?
I'll be secretary.
Okay.
That works. That works. Someone's got to do the hard work here.
All right, Keith, be good, be safe, and, stay safe out there on the snow streets.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Keith Law, everybody. Always great having Keith on. And we had 2 great guests. I mean, look, our motto here at the Ryan Ripken Show, you got to tune in because you never know who's going to be joining next. And today, Haruki Nakamura, Raven, back in 2008, a part of Harbaugh's initial class. But where does the ties go to why he came on? Oh, he's a Cincinnati man, where Jesse Minter got his start, where he was also teammates with Mike Mickens, one of the new members of the Ravens coaching staff. And then Keith Law has been doing this for a long period of time, and he gives great analysis on the prospects. I think for Orioles fans that you've asked about some of these guys, what's going on, and Keith gave you a great answer. Also, no pitchers on that list. And so when we're looking around at this, I know people are going, well, hey, sign Framber, sign Zach Gallen. I still don't have the answer for you, but it's 6:00 tonight. I'll be on the hot stove. We can talk more baseball then. But man, apparently the odds just changed by the second, Zach, as we talk. Apparently I'd seen in the chat that.
Listen, okay, I'm going to address the call sheet thing.
Please.
I am. So this is the worst thing that's ever happened.
Yes.
I get it. It happened with Jesse Minter. people going to Kalshi to get what they like predictive actually what they believe is going to happen. I can't get behind it because literally they were at 99%. The Orioles to sign Valdez was at 99% 3 days ago. Then the Orioles crashed down to 1%, I believe, or like 13%. And the Arizona Diamondbacks were at 80 or 98% yesterday. Now the Orioles are back up, but it's weird because the Orioles were at 99%, but the Mets were at 34. And I was like, that doesn't add. That, not the best math guy. That doesn't equal 100. That is higher.
That's
than
bad
100.
math.
Yeah.
That's bad math.
Like, so maybe this is me being old man yelling at clouds. Like, what are we doing with these predictive websites? You know, like maybe this is it. Maybe this is the future, but I give it such a grain of salt. Like it would be cool. Like that's awesome. Like I'm glad people, but someone could just put like $20,000 on it and just throws the market. So it doesn't.
Yeah, who the hell knows, man? But here's the thing. Clearly, with that, and I said it yesterday, if he's sitting here this long, is it that the money is so close to a deal, or is he hoping the money for the one team he wants to go play for needs to rise? Or is he just trying to think, where does he think he can cash in again? Because to me, it seems like a short-term deal. It does not seem like the 5 or 6 year deal. And if it is, well, then damn. You know, and I saw some reports saying, oh, a 6 year, $180 million deal. No way am I seeing any team doing a 6 year, $180 million deal. And if it's true, I'll take 2 tequila shots if that's reported and it's signed. Maybe I'll take 3 just to say I did. It kind of sounds nice now, Zach, because I've had a day, I've had a week when it comes to the snowstorm. But you know what? If you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We do this live Monday through Friday around 3. Sorry about today's inconvenience, but from 3 to 5 right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. And if you are listening on Spotify and Apple, we always upload it after the live show, but you should watch the live show if you can. If you can't, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. But click that follow button. Leave a review. Keep getting the good word out there because I got to tell you, we've been expanding. We've been growing. And it's all thanks to you all. And it's all thanks to our supporters, subscribers, followers. And also, I got to thank, above all, our channel members, the Ribs Good Kids and Better Kids on YouTube. Guys have been a rock for us. We appreciate that. And if you would like to be a member, click that join button next to subscribe. The channel members, you get more of the updates on future guests. And I apologize for today because we were trying to figure some things out. You guys will then get access to more exclusive content. And the Better Kids, you're part of call-ins on Friday afternoon shows. And you guys will see a little bit more Rip After Dark and a couple content pieces that we will have coming your way from the Super Bowl. Because guess what? We are heading out to San Francisco. If you are new, Media Row, Radio Row, we're out there Monday through Friday there in San Francisco. So it should be great. And look at Cora right there. People helping people. Oh! Put it back up. Yeah. Woo. Cora, appreciate you. We appreciate that, and we appreciate all of you guys. So thank you so much. It is Wednesday, Zach, and we talked a lot of football and baseball, but we kind of have the wacky Wednesday or wild Wednesday. I don't know how we want to decide that, but wild. Is it wacky, wild card?
Yeah, wild. And if you want to get wild, the Seattle Seahawks won the Super Bowl. It's not actually like we should not play the game because historically it's over already. No player with no starting quarterback with less than 5 letters in their last name has ever won the Super Bowl. They're like 0-7. Maye. Oh.
So what about? So you're saying 5 or less?
No, with less than 5. 5 is the least amount, like Brady, 5.
So
like
5 or less. So May is 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
So hate to be the bearer of bad news, but see, it's wraps. Congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, it's over. No team has ever and shoot.
Don't play the game.
Yeah. Where's the there was some other stat with it. Oh, here it is. So, no starting quarterback with a last name, and shout Jay Kuda, one of the best follows on Twitter for everything. No starting quarterback with the last name less than 5 letters long has won a Super Bowl. Starting quarterbacks whose first and last name end in the same letter are 0-6. So Drake May both end in E in Super Bowls since the AFC was formed in 1970. And starting quarterbacks with the initials DM are for Drake May are 0-2 in the Super Bowl. Dan Marino and Donovan McNabb. It's wraps. It's over. Congratulations to Mike Mack, Sam Darnold for having a longer last name for winning the Super Bowl. Congratulations to the Seahawks.
Congratulations, Seattle. Congratulations on another Super Bowl title just like that. That's wild. Now I was actually going through, I thought you said 6 initially.
No,
like,
so did I. Thought it was like if they had 5, and so I was like, this is just blatantly wrong. I was like, Brady. I was like, this is like what, but it's less than 5.
Less than.
Yeah.
Can't be equal to 5. Less
yes,
than
cannot
5.
be.
If we're doing by our math, less than, not less than or equal, less than 5. You understand that reference though, right? Less than, not less than or equal. Remember that in math class?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Just making sure. I didn't know if they taught that at Loyola. So just making sure on that. To continue on with Wild Wednesday then. This has probably been the wildest story that because we talked so much Ravens earlier and we just were with Keith all talking Orioles and prospects. The wildest story right now is what apparently is going to happen next week when the votes are officially out. And that's for the NFL Hall of Fame because it got leaked last night that Bill Belichick is not going to be elected as a Hall of Famer on the first ballot. Now, for those that are wondering how this works, there are 50 voters in this process, and they're from all over the country.
Yeah.
You need 40 votes to be elected into the Hall of Fame. And yes, now there's a list of guys, and there's so many votes that you can have in the list. Mike Sando actually had a good reference to explain it out there. But here's the deal. Still think about that. All right, if you didn't like Bill Belichick, but 11 people, greater than 10 people, voted for Belichick to not be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And here's the thing. We know the elephant in the room. There's one reason why he wasn't elected. It's because of everything that happened with Spygate.
And Deflategate.
And Deflategate. But, you know, as much as I was, when I was younger and you're sitting there, oh, Deflategate, because you just hate the Pats and the Patriots, I really don't care as much about any of that. And Spygate, I get it. And you know what? They got docked. And in some ways, I'm not surprised that the committee ended up going with this, but the outrage is everyone's saying, screw that. Regardless, he shouldn't have been elected. Right? Like, or sorry, screw that. He should have been elected. And people are saying it's a mockery of the game. And some players are sounding off on this, Zach, and coaches. Where do we want to start? Do we want to start with
you want to go maybe?
Do we want to start with Tom Brady?
I think Brady's definitely the start, but then I think we go JJ.
So it's going to be from down little by little. So Tom Brady was on that team, on those teams, those Super Bowl runs, big part of that team.
Yeah, Tom Brady has a connection to Bill Belichick.
He's got a connection there, and a lot of people have made their thoughts. But okay, we'll start with Tom, and I know some people might have some bias towards it, but let's start with Tom Brady and his thoughts on everything that went down with Bill.
How did you react yesterday or this morning when you heard that Bill was not selected to be in the Hall of Fame in his first shot?
You know, I just think that to me, I don't understand it. I mean, I was with them every day. If he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, there's really no coach that should ever be a first ballot Hall of Famer, which is completely ridiculous because people deserve it. And he's incredible. There's no coach I'd ever want to play. I'd rather play for. If I'm picking one coach to go out there to win a Super Bowl, give me one season, I'm taking Bill Belichick. So that's enough said. There's nothing outside of that. You know, again, when it comes down to votes and, you know, popularity and all that, like, you know, then welcome to the world of voting. And you may as well go, try out for the Oscars or whatever and, get a big panel to tell you if you're good or not. So it's the way it works. And that's, unfortunately, he's going to get into the Hall of Fame. In the end, I'm not worried about that. And a lot of times in life, for all of us, things don't happen exactly how you want them on your timeline, but we'll all be there to celebrate him when it does happen. And he's going to have a huge turnout from so many players, coaches that appreciated everything that he did and the commitment that he made to winning and the impact that he had on all our lives. And that'll be a great celebration when it happens.
So that was on Brock and Salk out there in Seattle. But look, he's right. Tom's right. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. Disappointed in that sense. And if Bill's not going to be the first ballot Hall of Famer, what coach is? And again, this goes back to the reasons, in my opinion. It's because of those sanctions and those moments that have brought this. But the issue isn't necessarily that. It's also then, is there bias on how you feel about Bill as an individual? And that's where some of these other reactions are going to go. So now let's go to J.J. Watt. We're going to keep turning the intensity up. Let's go to J.J. Watt next. And here's his opinion on the Pat McAfee show today.
Are we doing?
Okay, so reality of the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, no, there, like you just said, there are literally like 2-3 people in history that are absolute no-brainer locks whatsoever, Bill and Tom being 2 of those. And I saw something where one of the voters was like, why should the votes be released? What are you going to do? Because you shouldn't have a vote. If you have Bill Belichick not making the NFL, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you should not have a vote for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The guy has 8 Super Bowl titles. There's only been 59 of them. He's got 8 rings from 59. Like, what are you doing? What qualifications do you want? How do you tell the story of the NFL without Bill Belichick? Yeah, if you didn't have him on your ballot, and I get this whole like, well, there was 3 spots and you can only put like, I don't care. If there's only 3 spots, Bill Belichick is spot number 1, point blank, period. You figure out who fits in the other 2. No other matter should happen. He is in the Hall of Fame, first ballot, no matter what. The guy beat me left, right, and center multiple times. I should have every reason to hate him. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer without question. This is stupid.
So there's J.J. Watt being very vocal about this and saying, I went against him. And we mentioned earlier on the show about your peers tell you the best story about how they view you. Well, the peers and competitors are saying, dude, Bill is one of the best. And actually, our guest that we interviewed, channel members, you will see that here soon, he played for Bill, and he talked about why Bill was so good when he was there. Now, the last thing then, because we're turning it up a notch, because you're saying, all right, he cheated. That's why the committee sent a message. Well, apparently, according to Jimmy Johnson, who's a Hall of Fame coach, he was saying back in the day, a lot of coaches tried to look at advantages. And also, if that's the reason why you keep a guy out that has had that much success, well, he didn't mince any words here. So let's play that video, Zach.
So with what you said last night on your Twitter account, where you said if they're going to be using Spygate as an excuse for this entire thing, they're going to have to dig into basically everybody's stuff who is potentially trying this. Could you elaborate a little bit more on how common this type of thing is? And why did it make you so upset that they left Bill Belichick off the first ballot Hall of Fame?
Well, first of all, I think this tarnishes everything in the Hall of Fame, all of the inductees, everybody in the Hall of Fame, just because of 10 or 11 or 12 ignorant, jealous assholes who did not vote for him. I think it tarnishes everything about the Hall of Fame.
Short and sweet.
Did you get the message, Zach? Did you understand where Jimmy's coming from?
I don't think Jimmy was happy about that.
He wasn't. And look, for me, I'm still not surprised of what happened. My biggest thing with all of this, Zach, and it still goes to the baseball side with the Hall of Fame, is what is the precedent for how you're going to vote on players, coaches to be elected? If it's about integrity all the way in the utmost, okay, that's fine. Is it just about the numbers that you have done and the greatness that you achieved? Okay, that's fine. But clearly that narrative has changed depending on who the player or the coach is. And I think that is the part, Zach, where I look at, and I don't have the right answer at the moment, but if you're trying to objectify, what is the objective qualities of being in the Hall of Fame and to how you are? Because in baseball, I brought up the story on my Instagram last night. My dad went into the Hall of Fame. We just talked to Keith Law. Yeah, Cal was a good player. He was a great player. Zach, he played in the steroid era.
Mm-hmm.
He got over 97% of the vote. Voters did not vote for Cal Ripken Jr., my father, because he played in the steroid era as a protest. So when we're talking about objectifying and being biased, that's where shit bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
Because then who went in as 100% unanimous then years later? Mariano Rivera. Guess what era Mariano came up in? The steroid era.
Yeah.
Ken Griffey Jr. played in that era. He's not 100%. So my point is, everyone has a vote. That's not the issue. I respect it. But to what point does it get away from being objective? Because that's where I think the outrage is, Zach, is the greatness is there for Bill. Yeah, you hear the noise. But the standard of how the NFL and how the MLB has been, it hasn't necessarily been cut and dry clear.
Make the votes public. Simple solution. And I don't know why this is. They finally started doing it with the MVP, and actually voters got upset because they didn't know it was going to be released. You vote for the National Football Hall of Fame. You vote for Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. Now, Major League Baseball, they allow you to put your votes out there. Every single person should be able to see who got voted in. Why this isn't transparent. If you don't think Bill Belichick is a first ballot Hall of Famer, stand on it. But okay, you feel that way. Put your vote down knowing that everyone's going to know who voted. Like, why are we protecting people? Like, I don't get the whole this is supposed to be the best players and coaches that the league's ever seen. So now it's just an anonymous, someone, 13 people didn't vote for Bill Belichick. Wonder who it is. Put a sheet out. These are the people who voted. Here's what they voted for. Just like Major League Baseball does with a lot of people. But here's the list. Here's your ballot. Your ballot on the day that the National Football Hall of Fame, not even ceremony, just the day that they announced what people made it. It's released. Your ballot is released because why are we? It's just too much power. You could do anything. They could, get together and be like, hey, this guy's not in. Hey, we have 13 people that are in this group. We didn't like so-and-so. We're going to make sure he's not in. That good for you. That is as a voter, that's your right. It's got to be public. I just think that takes so many things out of it. I would like to know, same thing, Ichiro Suzuki. Obviously that's baseball. He's straight up in his thing. He's like, I would love to know the one voter who didn't vote for me. I would just like to go to lunch with him. I'll buy you dinner. I would like to know why you didn't think I was a Hall of Famer. If you're gonna vote, let people know. Let's do it. If you are voting, why do people not know? Why do we not know who is voting for these? Well,
and this is why everyone's getting caught up with the Bill Polian thing, which may or may not be true. So if you saw the reports, they're saying that Bill Polian, longtime executive, was one of the ones, Hall of Famer, right? So
yeah.
He apparently was the one that was, quote unquote, leading the case for Bill not to. Then Bill gave a statement saying that is absolutely false. But then he said he voted for Bill. Then he said he's 95% sure, but he's not sure if it's 100%. But point being is, to your point of this, now everyone's putting the scapegoat to Bill Polian, which I don't even know what the right answer is. And to be honest, I don't really care what the answer is. I think the part is, if you have the right and the opportunity to vote, then maybe part of the opportunity is to be transparent about why you didn't vote for somebody. I think that that's at least fair. And I think it's a respect thing to go, all right, we didn't vote for him. Here's my reasons. Because again, I'm not maybe as upset by the rest of the population, Zach, of, oh my goodness, Bill Belichick didn't get in. Because if that's the reason why it was voted, that was a sensitive subject. It was at the time. Do I think Bill Belichick is still one of, if not, if you're going to put Lombardi and Belichick, whatever you're going to put in that category, he's one of the greatest that's ever coached. It's not, you can't deny the excellence that he had. But you got to find what the standard is. Does that mean Tom Brady in this case, because of Deflategate, is going to be barred from the Hall of Fame year one? Because that's the precedent. Terrell Owens was a top receiver statistically, but he didn't get in until the third try? And that was more of saying character, or it goes back to objective. Is it on the field greatness and how you look at it, or are you carrying other things that are more personal? And that's the part that I don't like with the voting.
I mean, Pat McAfee joked about it in a later clip with JJ Watt, and he was like, hey, JJ, just so you know, you're tweeting a little bit too much. Like, I don't think you're making it in the Pro Football Hall of Fame if you keep tweeting about these voters. Like, they'll conspire against you. That's why it's got to be public. We have to have some sort of public thing. Also, he already didn't make first ballot. Just literally announced next year, hey, he's in the Hall of Fame. We're waiting until 28 so he and Tom can go in together. Now that he's not first ballot, they should go in together. This is ridiculous that there are a lot of things that I can say makes sense. Like, I saw that coming. This doesn't.
Here's the part, because I'll bring up with my dad, because again, this is not me trying to be biased whether or not about my dad or have the love for him. And look, I told you, he can be a jackass to me. But I want to be objective. My dad was one of the few players that had over 400 home runs and 3,000 hits in his career. He had a streak that's not going to be broken. If you talk to him and his peers, he was one of the best players when he played, 2-time MVP, all of that. And that's fine. If you don't, here's the thing, Zach, if you don't want to vote for him because you didn't think he was, I'm okay with that. But you know what that part was? It wasn't even the fact they didn't vote for him. Some voters didn't cast a ballot in protest. That's the shit that I'm talking about, is that the Hall of Fame, for all of these groups, to bring back the full integrity of what you want, you need to fully objectify what it means. Because right now, and I'll say this honestly, there are certain guys that are in the Hall of Fame in baseball that have steroid allegations attached to their name, and there are others that don't. And you know who they are. Football, I don't know what justifies what should be a first ballot Hall of Famer or not. Their system is just different, Zach. It is. It's not. I'm all about protecting the integrity. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing is figuring out what are the right criterias to make sure we don't get to these situations again, and make sure if you're going to vote, and even if you hate the guy, does he check the boxes? Because it tells the story of the game. And that's the part which all Hall of Fames or all places that want to keep the integrity have to ask themselves. So I'm not surprised with the move. Mm-hmm. But what I would love to see is just consistency with how you're going to vote on players moving forward. And if you are new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We do this live from 3 to 5 right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. What am I missing, Zach?
And real fast, I'll put my hat in the ring. I accept if they would like me to run the Hall of Fame. I will have the voting go a lot better than this.
Did you see Portnoy said, hey, let's just go buy someplace in Key West and with Jimmy Johnson and somebody else? And they're like, yeah, let's go buy it. But they also said we'll buy the old strip club down there and we'll turn it in. I'm like, this is a wild story.
Yeah. I will say, not wrong just early. Terrell Owens because he stuck it to the Hall of Fame. He didn't go to the ceremony. He had his own ceremony.
Yep.
Wasn't that right? Good. Belichick should not attend. Belichick, you and Brady have the biggest inductions of the last 20 some years. They do those remote together, protesting it because of what they're doing. I just think we need make the votes public. That's just all. It comes back to, I'm telling you right now, if the votes were public, Bill Belichick would be in the Hall of Fame. Like, it's just because nobody would want to attach their name to something so stupid. And that should be the point. If it's so stupid that you can't stand on it and say, hey, I said he shouldn't be in because of this. If you can't do that. Now, if all 13 voters come out and say, hey, I'm one of the people who didn't vote for him, here's why. Now we can talk. Now we got a discussion. But I don't like hiding behind a ballot of, I'm anonymous. I'm not going to put Bill in. What's he going to do about it?
And the other case is, as well, we don't need the mob mentality. If it were to be public, you can be frustrated, you can be mad, but then don't. I saw it might have been Gary Myers when we had him on, a few weeks ago before the Harbaugh decision was made, and people were getting on him. He said, hey, I voted for Bill. Mm-hmm. But the bigger part of it is someone said, what, the names are public, you got to go egg their house now.
Yeah.
And it's a vote. You shouldn't do any of that. But if you're going to have the right, to vote, it clears everything up, because right now people are just blaming the entire group. And that the reason why people are coming out to say I voted for Bill is they don't want to be associated with saying we're one of the ones that kept him out. They're like, no. We're not. And they're not supposed to do that, Zach, by the way, right? They're supposed to keep this quiet. It's not supposed to go out. From people that I've talked to in this process, you're not supposed to talk about this, but we're in a day and age where news will get leaked. In this case, it got leaked that Bill Belichick is not going to be.
Yeah, and I just actually Nate Jackson, former Bronco wide receiver / tight end, New York Times bestselling author, just retweeted by Adam Schefter, saying another crappy thing about the Bill Belichick Hall of Fame snub. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but they only put in one coach per year. So right now, Mike Shanahan will likely have to wait another year to get in. He should have had his gold jacket years ago. It's all bullshit.
That's the other part of this is, when's the last time Mike Shanahan coached?
Gosh. Oh my God. Let me even look at that.
It was with Washington.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my point. What's the justifications?
2013.
Jimmy Johnson going in however many years ago, it was recent for Jimmy. Why is this criteria? I understand you don't want to let everyone in, but you should be a place that you want to celebrate the greatness. And I know you want to keep the integrity, but damn, Shanahan, he's a Hall of Famer in my book. Jimmy Johnson's a Hall of Famer in my book. Now you're wondering, with guys that have won Super Bowls, is Andy Reid not going to go in as a Hall of Famer first ballot?
How can you?
Time will tell.
That's just ridiculous.
It's
nuts. And like you said, it's not a point of we're going to egg your house if we know you didn't vote. But I would like to, if I'm reading an article, if I click on your name and I know that you're the guy who made one of those, I'm not going to click on your, I want that accountability of stand on. And here's the thing. If you give an opinion, if you write out, hey, I didn't vote for Bill, here is why, then it's a conversation. It just feels like they're hiding behind this anonymous ballot. And it's hey, we're not going to tell you who voted. Just know 13 people didn't like him. Just know 13 people. We're not going to tell you who. Just know 13 people didn't like him.
Oh, man. Oh, sugar. It's a debate. It's got to stay spicy. Man, it got me fired up right there. I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. Movie, Zach.
Wait, I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
I'm going to come at you like a spider monkey.
Oh, my gosh.
Don't mess this
up.
Not
Paul Rudd. What's that Paul Rudd who said?
No, it's not Paul Rudd. Dear, sweet baby Jesus, 9-ounce baby Jesus.
Oh, it's how they're going to.
Thank you.
Damn it.
Unbelievable.
I don't know. Well, I knew it was a Will Ferrell movie, and for some reason I was sitting there and I was like, was it like a Paul, I could see a Paul Rudd character saying that, the spider monkey thing.
I like to imagine my Jesus in a tuxedo t-shirt sitting front row at a Leonard Skinner concert. And I'm hammered drunk. Goodness. All right. Sports. Hey, guys, it's been a great show. You guys have been awesome. You guys are great always. And for those that are listening that are new, hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're listening on Apple and Spotify, hit that follow button. We're live Monday through Friday on YouTube, X, and Facebook. Appreciate Haruki Nakamura, former Ravens safety, and Keith Law, baseball prospect analyst. A lot of great insight today. And then thank you for hearing our TED Talk on the Hall of Fame.
Got me fired up. I'm protesting Hall of Fames.
But you know what? The one thing I will say with all that, it just mainly, it's players won't always say it. Some will, some won't. It's an honor to be in. And it's one of those things you hold on to. And it should be about letting them experience that. That's the part of it. When I had Larry Walker, when we interviewed him way back, a year ago, whatever it was, Larry, the whole SpongeBob shirt, Larry's like, I didn't think I was getting it. We had a boys golf trip and I sat down and I get the phone call and then it's emotional because then you're let in. It's an awesome, beautiful moment. At the same time, you hope you recognize the greatness, especially so they can recognize it. You never know what life gives you. That's mainly what I take away from all of it. So before we get out of here, from this stream to the auto stream, whammy, appreciate Auto Stream Car Care Center. And guys, one more time for the one time. If you have car issues, there's 10 locations, $50 off any service when you mention Ryan Ripken, especially with all this snow. If you had problems, tires, brakes, bumper, you name it, need something fixed, mention Ryan Ripken, $50 off. Appreciate Auto Stream Car Care Center. Now from that stream back to the live stream. Zach, any final words?
No, I think I got pretty much everything off my chest. Funniest outcome would be bullying works, and they announced the Hall of Fame in a few days, and they're like, nah, Bill's in. What are you guys talking about? Bill's in. Bill's in. Nah, but it was just a joke. That was just a rumor. Bill's in. So, yeah, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Excited for Framber Valdez to sign with the Orioles in, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Something. Just an inconvenient time.
Probably right when I have to go on air for the fan.
Views.
Or it's right after.
Yeah, it'll be
fan.
it'll be like 7:05.
And I'm going to be driving on the Parkway. I'm going to be pissed off, and then we're going to be live. So you might get to see another animated Ryan Ripken on the Parkway.
Seen enough today.
Yeah, you have. You've
gotten
heard
my fill
enough
for the day.
You've heard enough today. All right, Zach, cue the music, Peppy. Break it, Pepe Le Pew. Oh. As always, here on the Ryan Ripken Show, we appreciate each and every one of you. Have a day, have a night. Be safe out there with the snow if you're in the region. And wake up and join us tomorrow because it's Thursday. And we're going to be live right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. Ryan Ripken Show. See you guys.